ShanaLynch and HarBaalke. Which regime was more toxic? Is more toxic? Was. There it is.
So, for entirely different reasons, both of these regimes managed to infuriate 49er faithful. When we look back, it's tough. Harbaugh and Baalke disagreed quite a bit, did not get along personally with one another. Is that a fair statement? Is that a fair statement to sum up the Harbaugh?
They were like sort of at odds. They were undercutting each other, working against each other at times. Yes.
Yeah. And that seemed to be a very toxic relationship. The end result was a chasm between the GM assembling the team and the coach attempting to execute on the field. And you could also blame Baalke for bargain bin shopping, continuing to dip his toe into the ACL waters and bring in players that he thought he was getting at a bargain. And quite honestly, he convinced a lot of us he was getting at a bargain, but none of them really saw the field. So that was detrimental to the 49ers. I think we can agree on that point.
Yes, absolutely. But what's interesting about, like, they had a toxic relationship, right?
Yes.
But the pairing worked. They didn't like each other. They were constantly trying to replace each other. I think at one point the Niners tried to trade Harbaugh to the Browns, and they didn't want to work with each other. But the fact of the matter is, they won a lot together. They never had a losing season together. And maybe you don't have to like people you work with, because these two guys seem to really like each other. They're buds. They're family. Their wives hang out together. Their wives hang out with Jed's wife, and they hang out and they tweet about it. It's so much fun. It's so great.
But there's a lot of wine being drunk.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, the relationship isn't toxic, I guess. At least it doesn't appear that way on the outside, but the pairing doesn't work. So, I guess I'll say that's, in a sense, that's toxic too.
It is, because it makes me wonder, when you have two people that get along so splendidly, you can ask the question, have you created, and the results are poor, which I think we have to acknowledge right now, the results are poor.
Right.
You have to ask the question, have they created an echo chamber? Have they created a situation where someone has an idea the other may actually not agree with, but because of the close nature of their relationship, they don't really stand their ground and have that toe-to-toe argument about which player they should be taking. And apparently they're taking the wrong ones at this point. Well,
I mean, it's reported that there was some of that going on between Mac Jones and Trey Lance this year, but so maybe John Lynch picks his spots, but whatever the thing is, it doesn't seem like it's working at all. And that either one has the answers for personnel. And it doesn't seem like this team is trending the right direction. It's bad now. 2022 could be worse.
It could be
worse.
They are roughly $8.5 million over the cap. Only 31 players signed. It's brutal.
And going into year 6, that's toxic. And you look at a team like, has Shanahan already lost this team? I mean, the way they played against the Cardinals B team, the way they lost at home to the Colts, I mean, the way they really have been sloppy all freaking year. Did he ever have this team in particular? I don't really know. It seems like this season is toxic, the whole thing.
Yeah, I can't go that far. I do agree with the embarrassment at home, the lackluster performance against the Colts, but
Every home game's an embarrassment.
What's that?
Every home game's an embarrassment.
Yes, since over a year ago.
Since the NFC Championship game
has been an embarrassment.
Yes.
It is certainly fair to criticize. I do wonder, would more opposition be a good thing? And are they capable of greater opposition between the two? Do you think that the dynamic can change at this point, or are we 5 years into a relationship and it is what it is?
It's what they need. I don't know if they'd accept it. It's what Kyle has needed the whole time, but it's also what his dad needed. And his dad basically got rid of it by getting so much power and money. And if you look at it, look at what his dad and Kyle did in Washington.
Right.
I mean, I know it feels like a long time ago, but think about it, right?
It was.
4 years. They had that one good year, but the other times weren't really. How different is Kyle's time in San Francisco from Mike's time in Washington? How different is it? One good year, injuries, excuses, it didn't work. I'm just saying.
Yeah, totally different rosters, totally different flash in the pan with RG3 versus Jimmy G having a solid season, building off of a lot of positive defensive performances But the end results are very similar.
End results very similar. Anyway, so I'm going with ShanaLynch. That HarBaalke, it was never going to last long term, but those 4 years, some of the best 4 years the Yorks will ever experience.
They were great. It's like a volatile relationship, where you dated someone and they're a little bit off, but like the relationship is really passionate. And so the result is pretty exciting, but it ends quickly, right? It doesn't last long.
That's a great analogy.
I got to go the other way because of the fact that it ended. I got to go that the HarBaalke situation was more toxic because it blew up. And I hope that this situation with Lynch and Shanahan is still fixable.
You're so positive. I love
I am.
optimism. I love that.